Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining my Nepo Baby support group. It's a really funny name, isn't it? But it is a fun concept that I came up with after having a conversation with my sister about how we're basically all Nepo babies, but people don't really understand how to tap into being a Nepo baby. So once again, we are all Nepo babies, and this is a support group and a safe space for all Nepo babies out there. So this is me. My name is Deja White. If you don't know who I am, I talk a lot on LinkedIn. So go find me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, and let me know that you came from my Nepo Baby support group so that I can accept your invite. I'm starting to get so many people reaching out to me, so it's hard for me to keep up sometimes. But if you tell me this is where you're coming from, I will hit that accept so fast. But here's a bit about me. So I started a company called Break Room Buddha a while ago. At the very beginning of my career, I found that the career advice space was a little bit stuffy. It didn't resonate with me. And I had no clue what direction to take in my career. And if you don't know me, I'm very ambitious and I like to keep pushing forward. So I needed a space, a website, a community, something that matched my energy. Since starting Break Room Buddha, it's no longer just about career advice. I am really big on helping people find careers that don't suck. And then I'm really big on life design. So, how can we design our lives where the careers fit in our lives, and instead of us designing our life around our career, and then we're fitting our lifestyles around that career. And then my approach to life is if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. So that's career, that's personal life. If I'm not having fun anymore, why am I wasting my time doing that? That's the vibe that I like to live by. And then I like to call this the boring stuff. So I have a lot of experience in different industries because if you can't tell, I get a little bit bored with just doing the same things over and over again. So I've had experience in law, media. I love media. That's where I float at a lot. The nonprofit space, the tech space, and my function is normally marketing, but I'm also a tech girly. I can pick up a technology in a hot minute. So look, I'm gonna be honest, I cannot see your messages, but if you're watching this on the rebroadcast or even if you're watching this live, tell me why you decided to join, or what made you intrigued about joining the Nepo Baby Energy support group. And I'll go through and I'll read your messages. I will I will reach out to you after this chat, but I really want to know what made you interested about joining a Nepo Baby support group. But let me tell you the real reason why we're here. So this is our agenda today. So we are going to understand what Nepo Baby means. And then more importantly, you're going to learn your Nepo Baby type. I think it's really important for people to understand what type of Nepo Baby they are. And that is how they get to move forward a little bit. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about harnessing that Nepo Baby energy. So after you know your type, then I'll give you some next steps that you can do to make sure that you're 100% tapping into your Nepo Baby energy. And then we're going to learn a little bit about what a Nepo Baby Orbit is. And if you are confused, these are things that I've 100% made up. Let me go ahead and trademark it because don't be confused. These are 100% made up by me. And I'm going to make sure that I dive in deep so that you can understand exactly what Nepo Baby energy is and Nepo Baby Orbit is. So around here, I will be going through some Nepo Baby lessons that everyone needs to know and love if they want to embrace their Nepo Baby energy. So grab a pencil, grab a pen, grab a sheet of paper, and start writing these lessons down. So lesson number 1 is that Nepo, the word Nepo, or the phrase Nepo, just equals nepotism. And nepotism equals relationships. I want everybody to understand that nepotism just equals relationships. It's not a good or bad thing. It's like a neutral concept that nepotism equals relationships. Now, this is what traditional nepotism is. So nepotism is usually when opportunities are given to individuals based on their family's relationship to power or influence. So some really good examples of this is Bronny James. So if you're a sports fan, you know who Bronny James is. And for all my Emily in Paris girls and gals, you know who Lily Collins is. She is the main character of Emily in Paris. And Bronny James is like the main character of the NBA. Some people might beat me up for saying that, but like he was really the main character for a while, especially during the draft. Now, this is traditional nepotism because Bronny is related to LeBron James, so his dad has power and influence. And then Lily Collins is related to Phil Collins. Her dad also has power and influence because he was and still is an artist and had hits and really big in the industry. So some might argue that they bypassed merit based on who they knew and based on their parents having power and influence in the industries that they wanted to go into. So this is traditional nepotism. Now, Nepo Baby lesson number 2, you don't need to be born into a Hollywood dynasty. You just need to understand, recognize, and use the opportunities that you already have around you. So in my previous example, they were born into a Hollywood dynasty. So of course, we can assume that they will get to wherever they need to get to or do whatever they want to do because of their parents and they have power and influence. But I'm here to tell you a lesson. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my Nepo Baby energy now. So like I said, I can't see your comments, but if you want to guess what you feel like I have in common with Steve Harvey and Abby Lee Miller, let me know in the comments. And if you don't know these people, Abby Lee Miller, legend has it, she's the reason why JoJo Siwa is always on the internet acting up. She was the OG, maybe reality diva. If you don't know Dance Moms, just look it up after this. Abby Lee Miller she was a hoop. She was something, and I loved her during her era. And then Steve Harvey, Family Feud, but a bunch of other things. But if you don't know Steve Harvey, just look up Family Feud, Steve Harvey, and you'll get the gist of who Steve Harvey is as well. So by now, you should have dropped some guesses in the chat on what you think I have in common with all these people. But I'm going to tell you, we were engulfed in the entertainment industry. So let me explain. I was one connection away from both Abby Lee Miller and Steve Harvey. If I wanted to call them on the phone, I could call them on the phone based on this connection that I had. So it is a known fact that I've always wanted to work in the entertainment and media industry. And as a young adult, let's say high school age, because that is where I was relentless. I was like, I will be in the entertainment industry. I will be on someone's set, and I don't want any questions about it. So my parents knew, my parents' friends knew, my friends knew I was going to be in the entertainment industry. So I happened to find out that someone that my parents worked with had a kid who worked in the entertainment industry. She was a production manager. She worked in production and different production roles on different sets in the city that I lived in. And I was so bold. I was like, I want a job, shadow you, take me on set with you. So she did just that. She took me on set with her. And she drove me around because, of course, I don't have a license. I can't drive. But I spent the day with her as she was location scouting. She owned her own production company, but she also worked on different reality TV sets and different production sets around the city. During that job shadowing experience, I learned the T on Abby Lee Miller, so that's why I'm one connection away from her. She was working with Abby Lee Miller on Dance Moms, and she was like the head production person. So anytime Abby Lee needed something, she was the go-to person. And I learned that I did not want to work in reality TV after having a conversation with her about her experience working on Dance Moms and a couple other reality TV shows. And then I also learned that she worked in production on Family Feud. And Family Feud, if you don't know, they do live tapings, and they have live audiences doing their tapings. So of course, I asked to get in the room. So I was able to get front row seats to Family Feud as well, and I stayed there all day. I swear, I think I was there for like 7 hours. I probably saw like 2 or 3 family teams film that day, and it was so fun. And then I got to see my now mentor, like I claimed her. She was my mentor after spending so much time together. I got to see her in action at work as well, so that was really fun. And this was all because I asked, and I also told my parents what I wanted to do, and I was super relentless about getting experience doing the things that I wanted to do. So yes, that is NEPO Baby Energy. I also took production classes with a local news anchor for free. And I also got to work on a BET production because I was just running my mouth. And like, when you put yourself out there, you run your mouth a little bit, people start to understand who you are, what you want to do, and like, they can't help it. They want to help you get to where you want to be. So that's NEPO Baby Energy. So what I just broke down, it was not easy. Like, I had to put in actual work and energy to get to the spaces that I wanted to be in. I didn't just have a parent who worked in the industry. I had a parent who knew that I wanted to work in the industry, and then they also ran their mouth and found out that someone that they worked with had a daughter who worked in the industry that I was interested in. Woo! See how much work goes into that? That is called everyday nepotism, because it's not just easy for me to walk out the door and say I want to do something and then I'm doing it. I have to like continuously keep showing up and then telling people that I want to do that thing, and then doors start to open up. So this is what I call everyday nepotism, which makes you an everyday, and me, an everyday Nepo baby, and it relies solely on the effort that you put into relationship building. So which one are you? Are you a traditional Nepo baby, or are you a everyday Nepo baby? Once again, use the chat. I can't see it right now, but I will come find you after this, and I'll give a thumbs up if you fall into one of these categories. Look, this is a judgment-free zone, but today I'm gonna strictly be focusing on everyday Nepo babies. So this is lesson number 3. Being an everyday Nepo baby is not about being lucky. You have to be intentional. So here's another example of some Nepo baby energy. I want you to guess what you think that me, Harvey, and Mike from Suits, like if you don't know Suits, girl, you're missing out. So go to Netflix if you have Netflix and just watch a couple of episodes of Suits. And then Jane, what do I have in common with Jane? All of these people are lawyers, by the way, on their TV shows. And if you don't know Jane, she's also a lawyer, drop dead diva. She's really great. I loved her. I was like, whew, I want to be like Jane when I grow up. But yes, if you don't know Jane, I think you can watch Drop Dead Diva on Tubi or something. One of those type of websites. So look up Jane and look up Harvey and Mike if you don't know. But drop in the comments what you think I have in common with them. So yes, we all worked at law firms, and we all did it for at least 3 seasons. I think Jane and Harvey and Mike, they all lasted beyond 3 seasons, but I only lasted 3 seasons at my law firm. So let me tell you the story. When I was 15, I had my own office at a law firm. I had my own clients that I got to talk to at that law firm. I was trusted to type court documents. And I sat in court weekly when I was 17, and I got mentored by a judge as well. Whew, that is a lot. That is a lot. But let me tell you the story behind how I was able to get into law firms. So, once again, an opportunity dropped in my lap. So there was a colleague of one of my parents who was closely connected to a program that enabled high school students to work at law firms as interns. So this was presented to me. I'd never considered working at a law firm a day in my life. But at the time, shows like Suits and Drop Dead Diva were actually on TV, and I was watching those shows. So maybe watching those shows gave me the energy to want to experience it for myself in real life. But I was watching shows like that on TV. This opportunity fell in my lap, and I went through the entire process. So I did the application. I dressed up and did my my interviews. And what happened was, at first, I did not get accepted into this program, actually. So it wasn't a fail. It was a success because I showed up. I did it. I took risk. I tried something new. But then they came back and they said, hey, we have a spot that opened up. If you want it, it's yours. And I said yes. And then I got to spend 3 seasons. So 3 summers working at different law firms, everywhere from like the very corporate ones to the ones that people tap into when they can't afford a lawyer. And then I also got to sit in court, like I mentioned. So I got to see like the petty crimes being tried in a court environment. So it was really, really fun. I love that I got to experience this. And this was one of the first experiences I had in offices, in corporate spaces. So I knew how to show up after high school. So this was high school. I was way ahead of the game, living my best life in high school, as you can tell. So this is lesson number 4. Your relationships are your career and life currency. Your relationships are your career and life currency. The more you tap into them, the more opportunities will come your way. So I have some good news for you, though. If I can do this as a teenager, like I said, this is only teenage version of me. I haven't even talked about the adult version of me or the college version of me. That was just the teenage version of me. So if I can do this as a teenager, you can do this too, because you know at least 10 people who have your back. In my case, I had one solid person who had my back, and that person was just funneling those opportunities to me. I told them what I wanted. They kept funneling it my way. But you probably know 10 people who can funnel opportunities your way. And those 10 people know 10 more people who can funnel opportunities your way. So you know at least 100 people who are in your Nepo Baby Orbit. There's that word. So the Nepo Baby Orbit is your support system that you have around you to build that Nepo Baby energy and make sure that you are tapping into that Nepo Baby energy. And this goes back to what I mentioned before. It doesn't matter if you have 100 people that are supporting you. You need at least one solid relationship, and you probably have this one solid relationship in your life right now who can open up a new door for you. So I'm gonna hop into the different levels of a Nepo Baby Orbit. And grab a pencil and pen, because I want you to be thinking about people that you can tap into right now, live on the call. You don't have to drop their names in the chat or anything, but I want you to at least write these people down. So level number 1, we're going to talk about the power players that you have in your life. So a power player is someone who is in your inner circle of your Nepo Baby Orbit. They are the real MVPs. They know your potential. They've already helped you in the past. They've already supported you in the past. And all you have to do is reach out to them if you need help. So I can think of a couple of people that I can reach out to if I need help, or if I'm in my experiment era and I want to experiment a little bit. I already know a couple of people that I can reach out to and say, hey, I want to try this thing. Can you support me? Do you know anybody who can support me? So if you have that person in your mind, in your life, write that name down and hold on to it. All right, here's an example of a power player. So let's imagine that your mom's best friend is moonlighting a little bit. Like she has a business outside of her 9 to 5, and she runs an event planning company. And you are super excited about learning more about marketing, about event planning, about brand partnerships, about tapping into influencers. Like you're just excited to be in that space. This is how you can tap into your Nepo Baby energy. If you know your mom is best friends with this person, even if your mom was not best friends with this person, but if you know that this person has an event planning business on the side, you could raise your hand and say, can I be a paid assistant at one of your events? Can I be your personal assistant? Can I schedule networking calls for you so that you have partnerships in the local community? Like it's very easy to just take some initiative and make the connection. And this is an example of a power player. You probably have someone in your life right now who your parents know, who your friends know, who someone knows that can help open a door, or that you can raise your hand and say, I want to job shadow you, or can you bring me on as a paid assistant so that I can learn what you do. So if you know that person in your life, write that name down and hold on tight to it, because I want you to take action after our chat today. So who are your power players? Maybe it's a colleague at your workplace. Maybe it's an old customer or client. Maybe it's someone in one of your study groups. Maybe it's a freelancer that you hired in the past. Maybe it's someone that's a part of your religious community. Maybe it's an old professor or a current professor, or maybe it's even your roommate. You never know unless you ask. So take a screenshot of this, and if you know at least one person in all of these categories, those are your power players, and you can start making some asks to them to help you move forward in your life. So our next level the next level of our Nepo Baby Energy Orbit is our key connectors. So your key connectors are your bridge builders. These are the people that link you to the right opportunities and the right people. They might not be as warm as your power players, but they're probably like lukewarm. Like you can reach out to them. There's maybe like one barrier between you and them, but once you like overcome that barrier, then you're good to go. So here's an example. So one of your old coworkers or mentors that you used to work with and no longer work with is a great example of someone who fits in this category. So let's say that this old coworker, this old manager works at a startup, and that you're interested in now working at startups after you're ready to exit whatever company you used to work with that person at. You could reach out to this person and ask them, just simply ask, hey, it's been a while. Can we have a coffee chat? I love to learn a little bit more about how you made the leap to the startup space. Could you provide some insights? And then after you have that conversation, you could ask, could you provide some referrals of companies or people who might be looking for help at their startup? So I oversimplified that. It might be a little bit harder, but this is an example of something that you could do if you truly were interested in doing that thing. So who are your key connectors? Maybe it's a friend's friend, so like a friend of a friend. Maybe it's a classmate whose parent works in a field that you're interested in. Maybe it's your significant other's colleague. Maybe it's one of your clients' business partner. Maybe it's your roommate's sibling. Maybe it's your neighbor's close friend, or maybe it's someone that you go to the gym with. Maybe their personal trainer knows somebody who can help you out. So we've hit our last ring of our Nepo Baby Energy Orbit or our Nepo Baby Orbit, and this is called your hidden gems. So your hidden gems are people who like float under the radar. They're not lukewarm. They're probably really cold. Like you haven't talked to them in a while. You've only talked to them maybe in passing. But they are under the radar because they could be brought up to power players if you just tapped into them a little bit more and talked to them a little bit more, because they hold a lot of potential. So an example of this is someone that you meet at an event. So say you're going to a conference, say you're going to a workshop, in either virtual or online, either online or in person, and you had like a really fire conversation with them in the chat. You connect with them after, but after that, you don't talk to them anymore. So this is that type of example for like an event. So in this particular example, my event connection works in venture capital. And let's say that I am trying to put together pitch decks or cold emails to go to investors so that they can invest in my startup idea or anything that I'm working on. You could reach out to this event connection and say, hey, I know we met at this event, this hackathon. I'd love to follow up and talk to you a little bit more about the space that you're in, what you're currently working on. And then somewhere along the lines, you can mention that you're working on something and you love to share what you're working on. And what you're working on is your pitch deck, and they can look at it, they could not look at it, but if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So that is a scenario that you can look into. So I'm gonna keep it going. So who are your hidden gems? So maybe it is someone you met at a wedding or a family gathering. Maybe it's a business owner that you met in passing at a local event. Maybe it's someone you met at a career fair, a panelist from a webinar you watched, someone that you volunteered with at a volunteer event, maybe someone you briefly spoke to at a work function, or maybe it's someone you met while traveling. These are all people who are considered hidden gems. You met them in passing, they're cold, but they can easily be warmed up if you just start reaching out and having conversations with them. So here's what you learned today. Today you learned that Nepo Baby Energy is not about fame or privilege. Like, I'm not someone who's famous, but I still had so many cool opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I didn't open my mouth and ask the question and also tell people what I was interested in. Your starting point doesn't matter. Like, I was literally an infant. I was in high school doing all of these things. So obviously your starting point doesn't matter. You can thrive with where you are, with what you have, and what you have access to. And then success isn't about luck. It's really about being super intentional. I was very intentional about telling people that I wanted to work in the entertainment industry. I wanted to be a film director. I wanted to be a showrunner. Like, I was just telling people the things that I wanted to do or thought I wanted to do as I was exploring the industry. And I'm going to reiterate, I was an infant. I was in high school. So if I could do it in high school, you could do it right now at whatever age you are. So I want you to give yourself a point for each of these statements that I say. If you have Nepo Baby Energy, I want you to see how much Nepo Baby Energy you have. So if this statement is true, give yourself 1 point. So you know how to set big goals that align with your network's potential. So the current goals that you have for 2025, does it align with the people that are in your network? Can they help you unlock those doors? Can they help you get to the level that you're trying to reach? The second one, give yourself a point if this is true. You know how to turn your existing skills into opportunities that people want to invest in. So if you're a writer, do you know how to get paid for those skills that you have and unlock new opportunities? If you can speak very well, do you know how to use that skill to unlock opportunities and get people to pay you for those opportunities? And then The third one, give yourself a point for this if this is true. You confidently reach out to people for advice, mentorship, or opportunities. This is a big one. This is like peak Nepo Babyism. So if you confidently reach out to people, you ask them for advice, you ask for mentorship, you're asking for opportunities as they cross your feed or cross the desk. Are you reaching out? Just give yourself a point if this is true. You don't let fear or self-doubt stop you from taking action and asking for what you need. If this is true, give yourself a point. If you stutter, if you allow fear to stop you, then do not give yourself a point. Do not lie about whether or not you're tapping into this Nepo Baby energy. And then the next one, give yourself a point if you're actively building a personal brand that attracts connections and opens doors. And it doesn't have to be on LinkedIn. It doesn't even have to be online. It can be in person. But are you actively building your personal brand? Do people know who you are? Do they know what you're about? Do they know what you want, what your goals are? If this is true, give yourself a point. So now I want you to tell me what your score is. Obviously, drop it in the chat. I will come find you after this session. But I want to know, what is your rating? If you have 0 to 1 points, you are a Nepo Baby in training. Your talents and your connections, they need to be cultivated a little bit more because you might not be showing up as fully as you can be in your life. And maybe people don't know about your vision, your dreams, and your goals, so they can't help you. Next. If you have 2 to 3 points, you are a Nepo Baby in rising. You have a pretty solid network, but they have more to offer, and you haven't been fully reaching out to them to make sure that they can help you be the best person that you can be. And then if you have 4 to 5 points, you are a powerhouse. You've built a strong network. You have some good, solid connections. But of course, there's always room to grow. So maybe it's time for you to elevate your network a little bit. And maybe you might be playing a little bit small. So it's time for you to elevate. But I want to tell you, if you did not get a 5 out of 5, you are not tapping into your full Nepo Baby energy. I'm just here to say that. And if you said no to at least one of those questions during our little quiz, then you're not the true Nepo Baby that you can be. You probably get stuck in a cycle of overthinking. You don't always act when you're supposed to. And you're probably missing out on a lot of opportunities. Let me tell you, there are so many opportunities out there. They won't all be posted, so you have to start asking and reaching out and telling people what you want. And you're maybe searching for clarity, maybe you lack a little bit of confidence, and maybe you just need some momentum to push you forward. And this is not because you're not capable. You're just holding yourself back just a little bit, but that's okay. We all do it. But you're continuously leaving opportunities on the table, and I don't want you to do that in 2025. Because if you start leaving opportunities on the table, it keeps happening again and again and again, but it doesn't have to be that way. Imagine this, you break free from that self-doubt. You no longer contemplate, am I making the right move? Should I reach out? If I would have just said this thing, would that opportunity have come to me? Let's try to figure out a way in 2025 to not have those thoughts and just take action. Imagine you confidently asking for what you need, and then you get it because you took the time to sit down, be intentional, make the connection, and then just ask. Just simply come out and ask. Imagine if you finally knew what steps to take in 2025 to align with the goals that you have for yourself. I'm a big believer that opportunities don't just happen. You make them happen, you create them. Like I mentioned earlier in our chat, I created all the opportunities. I didn't directly create them, but I created them by reaching out. I job shadowed. I got to talk about reality TV and what it's like to work. I got to work at law firms, like just some fun stuff that I would not have been able to experience if I didn't open my mouth, basically. So if you are struggling, I got you. I'm going to just go ahead and say that I'm a bully. So if you are struggling, you can always reach out to me. Scan this QR code, and I'll also drop a link in the chat. But reach out to me. If you're not familiar with Mean Girls, I'm like that teacher who says she's a pusher. And, the main character got mad at her for saying that. But, I've been called a bully before, but I really do believe that we all have so much potential as human beings, and all we have to do is just open our mouth to get to what we want, and also tap into the resources that we already have. So if you're someone who is struggling, just reach out to me and let's have a chat about what you're struggling with and how we can get you moving forward in 2025. And so I promised you some next steps. These are your next steps. If you are a Nepo baby in training, I want you to focus on rebuilding relationships with people that you already have in your life, in your network as well. Maybe these are people who've supported you in the past. I hope you took screenshots before, because those were some people that you could reach out to starting today, not tomorrow. Starting today, you can reach out to them just to have a simple conversation and catch up with them. All right, for my people who are rising Nepo babies, I want you to pinpoint where your self-doubt might be holding you back and why you haven't taken action to do the things that you say that you want to do. So today, I want you to use an AI tool. My favorite one is ChatGPT, but you can use any AI tool to help you create an action plan to get through the barriers that are holding you back in your life. Simply just ask it. Just say, these are the things that I've identified that are holding me back, or these are the doubts that I have about myself, and give me an action plan over the next 30 days that I can use to overcome those barriers or challenges. And an AI tool will literally do a lot of the work for you, but it won't do the work for you. So it'll put together that 30-day plan, but then you have to be very disciplined in order to take action on the plan that the AI tool has written for you. So sending you all the positive vibes so that you can finally step into your Nepo Baby energy. And then for all my people who are Nepo Baby powerhouses, I want you to start to give back to your network. A lot of times, the only way to level up is if you are not being selfish. So figure out if you're connected with some people that you can reach, that you can mentor, figure out how you can volunteer, figure out how you can just be a support system for the people that you've already built strong and solid connections with. It's really important to build goodwill and also give more than you take. So the more you start to give, the more you start to receive. There is a book that a lot of people like to talk about. It's called The Go-Giver. That is your homework. If you are a Nepo Baby powerhouse, your homework is to give back to your community and your network. And then also read a book like The Go-Giver, so that you understand the power of giving and not just taking. So yes, that was it. So 2025 is the year of the bingo card. So I am going to leave you with a Nepo Baby bingo card. The link at the top will be active after this conversation, but I would love for you to take a screenshot of this. No matter what level of Nepo Baby you are, you can take action on these different levels on this bingo card. And then you report back to me. If you complete your bingo card, I want you to reach out to me. And I'll even go as far as to say this: the first person to complete this bingo card, I need proof that you've completed it. I need some screenshots of conversations. I need some pictures from you having coffee chats with people. I need something. Give me something. But the first person to complete this Nepo Baby 2025 bingo card, I will gift you 2 free months of LinkedIn Premium so that you don't have to struggle. You don't have to struggle to reach out to people that you may not be connected with. So yes, if you complete this bingo card, send me a DM, and the first person to complete it will get that 2 free months of LinkedIn Premium to level your network up. So thank you so much for joining me for this Nepo Baby Energy support group. I know that you learned a lot. I know that you are worthy, that you can do it. Don't ever doubt yourself. We're all built for greatness. So I'm so excited that you joined me during this support group, and reach out to me anytime if you need that help, that motivation. So see you at the next Nepo Baby Energy workshop or Break Room Buddha workshop.